Welcome back. The Central Bank of Nigeria's Monetary Policy Committee's two-day meeting ended on Tuesday with 9 out of 10 members voting to keep rates unchanged. Most financial and investment analysts who had expected the monetary policy rate to be sustained believe that was the right decision. Well, to talk more about the MPC's decisions and the impact on the economy, I'm being joined on phone by the head economic research at Ecobank, Gaimin Nonyane. Thanks for your time, Gaimin.
Hi, thank you.
Well, just like many had predicted, the Monetary Policy Committee maintained status quo on key rates. Watching from the outside, do you think it was the right thing to do?
Yeah, absolutely. It was very much expected that the central bank will maintain the rates, because raising rates would not have helped, because it wouldn't have narrowed the spread in the negative real returns rates. And then at the same time, it would have limited effect on inflation. Inflation is more driven by cost push factors, and the weak, a major significant effect on prices. And then at the same time, the country is undergoing a recession, so a higher interest rates would not have worked for the country. Reducing rates at the same time would have been inconducive at this point in time, given the high inflation environment. And so, yes, it was very much expected. Although it is interesting to see that the central bank is now moving towards focusing on the parallel exchange rate markets and growth.
Well, so far, have you seen any alignment between the fiscal, monetary, and even the trade policies?
Well, no. I think once the central bank has tried to keep a tight grip on the official exchange rate, but it's focusing more of its actions on trying to allow the parallel exchange rates to appreciate, and doing nothing much with regards to trying to see how the official exchange rate can converge more towards the parallel exchange rate, rather than the parallel exchange rate converging more towards the official exchange rate. Fiscal policy, on the other hand, remains very weak. We're yet to see robust fiscal policy, which should help to drive the economy, and that is something that the central bank pointed out, that we expect to see more from the government in terms of spurring growth through the economic recovery and growth plan.
Well, Gaimin, this is an economy in recession, and some people say, of course, that there's need to stimulate the economy to get out of recession. But if you were in the shoes of the CBN governor, what would you do? Well,
it's a difficult one. On one hand, its hands are tied because it can only affect monetary policy and not fiscal policy. But I guess by urging the government to try to spur growth through the fiscal side is one hand. But on the monetary side, the problem still lies with the foreign exchange policy. There's still a lot of uncertainty surrounding that. The central bank continues to pump a lot of money in the foreign exchange market to try to keep the official interbank rate at 3.14, 3.15. But that is not sustainable. It's unlikely to be sustainable because, one, we've seen global oil prices dip recently, and we expect this trend to continue over the short term. So it needs to start, moving towards a gradual devaluation. It's going to get tough in the short term, but over time, over the medium to long term, it should get better, because that should help to bring about more price transparency and restore investor confidence in the markets.
And we certainly do hope that it will get better. But in the meantime, what's your outlook for interest rate environment in Nigeria?
Well, given that, based on the central bank's rhetoric as well as its policy actions, I do not see the central bank reducing rates or hiking rates anytime soon. I think it will continue to maintain the status quo. It will continue with its tight policy stance, keeping rates at 14%, because it needs to do that to temper the potential risk coming from the weak currency. The spread between the parallel rate and the official rate continues to have a negative impact on inflation and the economy as a whole. And so to counteract such imbalances, something has to be done in terms of the interest rate. And so for this reason, I expect the central bank to continue with a tight policy stance rather than to ease rates or to hike rates anytime soon.
Thanks again, Gaimin, for sharing your thoughts with us on the program. Gaimin Nyonyane is the head of economic research at Ecobank in London. Well, moving on now, Burundi's inflation rate climbed to 20.7% year-on-year in February from 12.9% in January, driven by rising food prices in local markets. Official data from the Institute of Economic Studies and Statistics shows food inflation accelerated to 34.4% in the year to February from 20.1% in January. The Statistics Board explains that prices rose due to weak food production caused by flooding and drought, which hit the coffee-producing nation in the first half and fourth quarter of 2016. The government expects the economy to grow by 2.9% in 2017 after shrinking by 0.5% the previous year. And the World Bank has disbursed another $1 billion in financial assistance to Egypt of its $3 billion loan program with the country. Egypt has been negotiating billions of dollars in aid from various lenders to help revive an economy hit by political crisis since a 2011 revolt and to ease the dollar shortage that has crippled imports and hampered its recovery. The global lender explains in a statement that the Egyptian government has taken steps in implementing key policy and institutional reforms, laying down the foundations for accelerated job creation and inclusive growth. The World Bank issued the first $1 billion tranche of the loan in 2015, with 2 more installments of the same size to follow, linked to additional reforms that the government planned. And in Kenya, the government has announced plans to roll out a mobile phone-based government bond this week to attract a new pool of investors into government securities. A source in the telecoms industry explains that the new bond, known as M-Akiba, will be offered on M-Pesa and similar mobile phone financial services by other firms. Investors will be able to buy the bonds through their phones, where a record of their holdings will be stored. Coupon payments will also be made through the phone. The country's treasury says the bond will go on sale on Thursday. Kenya pioneered the use of mobile money in 2007 with M-Pesa, a money transfer service by telecoms operator Safaricom. And that's our show today. Many thanks for watching. I am BC Adebayo.